When I was a kid, I was kind of clumsy. You know, running into doorknobs, walls, doors, you name it. And whenever I ran into something and hurt myself, I would start crying. My dad would come in and ask me what happened, and I would be sobbing and telling him that the wall hurt me. Then, with a little smirk on his face, my dad would ask me if the wall was okay. Hearing my dad joke and ask if the wall was okay made me laugh, and it made the whole painful situation much better. And to be honest, that's one of my favorite memories of my dad, because he was able to turn a bad situation into a great father-son moment. Now, in our lives, we run into our own metaphorical walls and get hurt. And those walls can be either rejection, embarrassment, etc. When you experience pain, you always have two options. You can accept the pain, laugh about it, and learn from it moving forward. Or you can make the situation more painful where you feel sorry for yourself, brood in your self-pity, and wonder why the world hates you. When you choose to accept the pain, where you learn from it and laugh about it, then you are working towards your ideal personality or ideal self. Because if we really think about it, the best in us usually takes the hits from life with stride and moves forward, whereas the worst in us cries and gets in a cycle of contempt. This sounds all nice and dandy, but how do we get to our ideal personality? Well, the best way to work towards your ideal personality is to constantly think about it. Whenever you are facing an emotionally uncomfortable moment, you have to wonder if your ideal self would cower away from moments of conflict or laugh about it, and knowing this is a part of life. You know, the regular streams of wins and losses. Working towards your ideal self will make life a lot more enjoyable, because you're taking whatever comes your way and using it as a challenge to exemplify your ideal self. Now mind you, life won't always be rosy, even if you reach your ideal self. Will rejection still hurt?
Yep.
Will humiliation still hurt?
Yep.
Will failure still hurt?
Yep.
Pain will always be a part of your life. The first tenet of Buddhism is life is suffering. We have to accept that as a fact. But how you use pain is up to you. Will you use pain to get closer to your ideal self or your less developed self? That's a question every human being needs to answer. Years ago, I remember in some Stoic writings where the Stoics were saying that if they knew of some future illness or difficulty was to come their way, they would rush towards it. At first, I never understood this, but now it makes sense. They rushed to those pains of life because they knew that if they dealt with them well, they would get closer to their ideal self. Those Stoics are still crazy though. On a more personal note, if you noticed, I got a buzz cut. And if we're being honest, it doesn't look that great on me. Now, I have two options. Wear a hat and hide my buzz cut for the next couple of weeks, or just take the L and laugh about it and move on. Don't get me wrong, when I first saw my haircut, I was like Job from Arrested Development and just admitted that I've made a huge mistake. But once I acknowledged the embarrassment, I thought, how would my ideal self deal with this moment? And I realized that the ideal Bolcha would just laugh about it and just make a note not to do this style again. You have to remember, it's up to you on how you deal with the losses in life. Okay, now that we're convinced on using our unfortunate moments in our lives to get closer to our ideal self, how the heck do we know what our ideal self is? Well, first, we need to sit down and think what our ideal self would be like. Then, we write down the list of characteristics of our ideal self and then consult with it on a daily basis. Especially those times where you're hit by those painful walls of life like rejection, embarrassment, failures. This is when you consult with that list of characteristics of your ideal self, just to remind yourself what you are striving for. And as you move in life, you will think about whether you're getting closer to your ideal self or further away. And if you think I'm spewing some random shit, Abraham Maslow, in his book Toward a Psychology of Being, mentions that every action we take in life is either making us respect ourselves more or not. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the characteristics of my own ideal self. It is to be confident, not afraid of conflict, creative, independent. And let's end it right there before you start judging me. And on a separate note, One thing that I like to do is that every 3 months I like to consult with these characteristics of my ideal self and just have an honest conversation with myself to see whether I'm actually making strides on all those characteristics or not. Remember, you don't automatically become your ideal self. You have to constructively build yourself towards it. How do you expect to accomplish goals, be a success, or whatever it is you want from life if you can't become the person that will naturally do all that? Build yourself first, and all those things will come naturally. Too many people focus on shallow results and neglect to become the person that will accomplish great things. Be a great person first, and great things will come. And for the love of God, please don't be so militant in trying to achieve your ideal self. If you start feeling bad for not reaching your ideal state, then it will all be in vain. Nobody likes to feel bad for making a mistake in their lives. You know what I mean? Where a supervisor or a parent yells at you for making a mistake and you don't feel better about yourself. So what makes you think doing the same to yourself will make you feel better? Your ideal self is there to nudge you when you deal with some uncomfortable parts of life. Always make sure to show yourself compassion. Be honest and accountable though, but always show compassion. Make sure to have a support group to help you and where they can be a little more objective in case you are very harsh on yourself. Actually, find a support group with similar goals and ideals where people help each other. You can do this by finding friends with similar life directions. Join my membership site where we support each other but also hold each other accountable, or see a therapist. Having someone support you will help you a lot more than being a lone wolf. Also, one thing to remember. People come and go, and there will be good times and bad times in your life. But you always have yourself. So you might as well have great company and grow into the ideal version of yourself, because that's gonna make the ride of life a little better. What I'm about to say might sound a little weird, but it's very important. You always wanna be there for yourself. You wanna be your own best friend. You wanna love yourself, because in the end, all you're gonna have is yourself. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thank you again for watching. If you're interested in my membership site, you can join the waitlist in the first comment below for the next cohort. But other than that guys, please don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my email list, and guys remember, you're not just any type of nerd, you're a charismatic nerd.